Trying while I'm just doing all the noises and shit in there. Hey! CoCo be going live. 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 CoCo be going live.
I'm the real CoCo, back with another episode of CoCo's Tea, episode 77, y'all. What is good? Thank you all for being here once again. Another episode in the, what do I want to call this? In the can. I have a special guest in the building. I keep getting these interviews back to back. That is not normally how this podcast is ran, but I have my, can I call you my mentor?
I guess.
Can I give you that title now?
I don't like that title because I don't like it. It just reeks of responsibility.
I was about to say obligation.
Having to return text messages, but I help when I can with people who I think have a gift and have a way through and have some motivation. Oh my God, I guess that is a mentor. Yeah, all right, I'm a mentor. Fine.
Well, I appreciate that. That means that you say you see something in me, so that means I'm out here working and doing and making the right move. So, you guys, if you don't recognize that voice, because he's not just known here in Birmingham, this is a nationally recognized comedian. You may have seen him on Comedy Central's The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. I have Roy Wood Jr. in the building.
I love that this room has not changed one bit since I hosted the morning show.
We're going to get to that. And you know, I actually was really kind of, this is probably, first of all, I think you're the first comedian to be on the podcast in over 70 plus episodes. Number two.
Now that's on you. It's a lot of good comedians.
I just don't, you know, my podcast isn't interview formatted for the most part.
I'm just giving you grief. I'm being mean.
But also, like, this is probably somewhat the most anxious I've been in trying to prepare for an interview, because you have accomplished everything that I'm trying to now accomplish. And you've walked these same hallways. You've put your time in here at the radio station.
Yes, Lord, I did.
You had the #1 morning show in the state of Alabama.
Yes, we did. 2-time Alabama Broadcasters Association Large Market Morning Show of the Year. But no big deal.
Just a little humble brag. So yes, I mean, this is a big deal for me personally. So I really appreciate you coming on. I know this is something I've been asking you for a while. So again,
nah, it's all good. I don't ever want to be one of them people. Like, the biggest issue I had when I was hosting the morning show, and even back when I was co-hosting and producing with Buck Wild in New York, is that so many people don't want to do interviews, and they keep forgetting that that's part of what makes radio special, is that access to people. Plus, it's the crib, and I love y'all.
Absolutely. So I didn't want to just do the whole, you're from Birmingham, and you know, where are you from, and you know, you went to this school.
I got a side question real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, what happened? What you see?
What happened to the color printer that was over there by the window?
I don't remember there ever being a printer in here.
Well, somebody need to find my damn printer, because
it's yours.
Printer. I'm not bullshitting you.
Roy, why didn't you take it with you when you left, though?
See, you don't even know how I left. It was tumultuous. So
we
wasn't exactly on, can I get my printer back?
But you want it back now?
I was just looking to see if it was still there serving the masses.
I have no idea.
Y'all done took my I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, I have no idea. You know, we only have like 2 big printers in the building.
I know, that's why I brought my own damn printer to be in this room so I can print stuff without having to walk all the way down the hall. I'm sorry, I'm bringing up old emotions.
I have no idea.
I'm bringing up old emotions. That's not right.
You know who to hit up. I wouldn't know. That was before my time.
But no, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, like I said, I didn't want to have a standard boring interview about, you know, who you are, where you're from, what are you doing now, because you're a really good storyteller.
You can Google all that shit.
Exactly. And I feel like I'm hoping that I can ask questions that will have you tell some of those good stories, those experiences you've had. And so I do want to start at FAMU, because that's when you got into comedy.
Correct.
Why did you get into comedy?
Yeah, I always had an itch for it, but you know, I got arrested. That was the thing that pushed me.
I remember that story.
Like, I was 19, we were stealing credit cards, and we were taking them and just buying gas and pizza, and like, we wasn't running no like deep terrorism ring of credit card fraud, but like, we was just a bunch of teenagers trying to look fresh and pull chicks and, you know, eat good.
Yeah.
And so the thought that I might have to go to prison for what I thought would be the rest of my life, it was enough for me to go, okay, well, with this little bit of time I got before sentencing, let me do something I've always wanted to do before I die. So let me try comedy. And fell in love with it, got probation instead of jail time, and been doing comedy ever since. And so that was something that, when I look back, I wanted to do comedy. The first conscious memories of, oh, I want to try that, I was 14. Like, I knew way back then that, no, this is something I could ride with for the rest of my life. But then I was also, at the time, I was in high school, and up until Ramsey, there had never been a school that I'd been to in the Birmingham area that I was at for more than 2 years. So we were always changing neighborhoods and changing classrooms. So, you never get this sense of, I never had that sense of normalcy with my classmates. So you get, you're new to the school, you get picked on the first year. The second year, you kind of sort of start fitting in. Boom, and now you're at another school. And now you're getting picked on again. Then you kind of sort of fit in, and then you're at another school. So when I was at Ramsey, and I started fitting in, and then I was never one of the cool kids, but I was cool enough. I was cool adjacent, and that was enough for me. So I was like, the last thing I'm gonna do is try and tell a joke and tear down this shit that I done built up for 3-4 years. So I'm gonna keep my head low. And that's the cool thing about college, especially if you go to college out of state. It's an opportunity. Well, I wouldn't even say out of state. I would say just college in general is an opportunity to reset yourself in terms of what your social, like, rebranding. How a company might change their logo, change their slogan, change the uniform, stuff like that. That's what college is for your persona.
Right.
So it's a lot of cats who was nerds in high school. They came to college on some thug shit, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so that was a place where I went, oh, I can safely try it. And the other thing about when you get arrested is that if you're hanging around other people that do dirt and you get arrested, y'all can't be around each other no more. Because it's either court ordered or they don't know, if we get into some deeper shit, they don't know if you're snitching. So they can't be around you if they still doing their dirt. You can't be around that no more. I can't be around it because it'll get me in trouble. You don't want me around because you don't know what I'm about. So you just don't know it. And so I lost pretty much, there was a good stretch when I was 19 where I had no friends. I wasn't talking to anyone.
While you were in college?
Yeah, because everything that I'd done up until that point in terms of social identity had been tied to my ability to make other people have a good time. So when you take that away, who are you for real, for real? And so with that gone and no friends, it was the perfect time to do comedy, because I ain't got nobody to fit in with.
Right.
I'm going to jail, I'm gonna die, so I may as well try these jokes real quick. Who ain't nobody around to embarrass me or shame me if I get booed or whatever. So it was the perfect outlet. And then also I had the opportunity to start traveling a little bit. So I'd take the Greyhound up to Atlanta, down to Tampa, and
what were you doing?
I was doing open mics. Sunday night, Uptown Comedy Corner, in Buckhead. And so you go there, get booed, and then you go back you take the MARTA back to the bus station downtown Atlanta, and you take the dog back to the Greyhound for white people. I take the dog back to Tallahassee. And so that was pretty much every 2 weeks I go to Atlanta, and sometimes you get booed, but you getting booed by a bunch of people you don't know. I don't live here. So it was just a thing. So that's where the comedy journey started. And then when I got out of college, I moved back home, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I lied my way to get hired at 95.7. I got hired on a bold-faced fucking lie.
I love the story. Before we get there, one of the things that I do admire about you is that you are a risk taker. And so you said, well, I know that you've told the story before, you skipped your midterms while you were a student at FAMU to open up for Tommy Davidson, correct?
Yes.
So I just want to talk about,
not recommend that.
The thought process, because you are such a risk taker. It's hard for me to make, decisions like that. What made you come to that conclusion?
Because college was secondary to what I was pursuing. College was something that I continued doing because I knew it would make my mom happy, and it was also part of what kept me out of jail. Having a job and already being in school. When you get arrested, they do what's called a pre-sentencing assessment, where they basically take your whole life and open it up, and they talk to 4 or 5 people. You get to recommend the people, and they look at everything that you were doing at that current moment in time. I was a first-time offender, so that worked in my favor. I had a bunch of people, a bunch of adults who spoke highly of me. That worked in my favor. But one thing that really, really helped was that I was already in college and that I was already employed. Shots out to Shoney's. So basically the court system is trying to see, how much of a future does this motherfucker have?
Right.
Does he have a chance? Alright, if you got a chance, it look like you got a chance, and these people say you got a chance, we gonna go and give your ass a little probation real quick.
Just a little bit.
We ain't gonna even send you to jail, folks, because we think you might have a chance to go and turn this thing around. They were right, but at the time, that's what they're assessing. So for me, once I discovered comedy, that was it. I'm like, yo, I'm doing comedy the rest of the way. Now, this college shit is cool, but I don't need it to get in the way of comedy. And, ultimately what happened, I had a long conversation with my mom, and the deal was, for as long as I make good grades, you say nothing about me doing comedy. Mm-hmm. Because she didn't approve of it out the gate, as well she shouldn't have. And my mom's been in higher education for 30 years, so she's a black woman that believes in the power of the degree. And what I was too dumb to see at the time was what she was trying to tell me. But at the time, I was like, yo, I'm just doing comedy. Comedy's what I want to do, comedy. So when you get a call the week of midterms for an opportunity to open for an A-list black headliner,
right,
those calls come maybe once or twice a year. I believe in every career, no matter what the genre, no matter what you do. I don't care if you're a trash man, or you're a janitor, or you're an airline, but whatever it is, whatever your career is, I believe that you get 2 to 3 opportunities a year to skip a level, or really prove yourself, or really do something that becomes, if you look back on it, a mile marker for the advancement of your career, a chance to leapfrog somebody. And you have to be ready in those moments, or else your career regresses. So what's the point of taking all these greyhounds to all these open mics to be seen by the club owner when finally an MC falls out and the club owner thinks of me and says, hey, would you like to come open on the weekend, and I'm going to pay you and give you a hotel? Is that not what you was grinding for all this time up until this point? Was this not the moment that you were trying to bust your ass for?
Right.
So you got to choose between that, or you got to choose between your midterms. And it is what it is. And the game is always going to give you tough choices. And that was the first one. There's going to be, I'm ashamed to say that, well, no, I'm not, because he's 3. I miss my son's preschool, graduate, whatever the hell this is, where you go from 2-year-old to the 3-year-old class. Sidebar, I think there's way too many graduation ceremonies for children. Way too early in life, and it creates a false sense of accomplishment. By the time they get to high school,
you may have some truth.
That's a separate conversation for another.
Yeah.
The point is, you're always going to have to choose between one thing, your career, and something else that means something to you. Absolutely. And I'm not saying choose your career every time. I'm just saying be prepared for those choices.
Those sacrifices sometimes.
So I chose to go open for Tommy Davidson. I went to open for Tommy Davidson in Charlotte at the Comedy Zone. This is how arrogant I was. I thought Tommy Davidson was gonna love me so much that he was gonna ask me to come back to LA with him. So I packed 2 weeks worth of clothes.
I'm weak.
3-day gig. It's a 3-day gig. All you need is some shirts and drawers. You don't even need other pants. You wear the same pants.
Oh no, please. You was wearing the same pants, Roy?
No, I had a couple pants. Knowing what I know now about being on stage, you don't need a bunch of pants. You're impressing strangers. Stop it.
Okay.
Change your shirt. If you somewhere 2 days or less, 1 pair of pants.
Same shoes?
Tip. No, not back then. No. Now, yes.
Why now?
Because I don't feel like packing all this shit and dragging it through an airport. I establish what the color story is for the weekend. And I get 1 pair of sneakers that I know is going to flow with this jacket, with this pants, with that. I ain't no sneakerhead. I ain't got time for that shit. I'm efficient with my packing now. I went to Tampa. I went to Charlotte. I opened for Tommy Davidson. He didn't see a single one of my sets because he's a headliner. He don't get there.
He's probably not even at the venue yet.
He's not. When I'm on stage, he at the hotel, just not getting in the limo.
Yeah.
But he says he spoke very positive to me or whatever. But I took that gig because I thought I was going to go to LA, and I got back to school and I flunked a whole ass semester. 2 of the classes I was able to make up in the summer, but you know how it is at black colleges. Sometimes that class is only offered in the fall.
Right. So you got to wait a whole nother year.
A whole nother year.
Right.
To take those classes over it. I'd do it again. If I was faced with the same choice, I'd do it again. Because you still learn a lot. It's not like you lost. It's just you made a choice. You took a gain in one area in exchange for an L
somewhere else.
In another. Yeah, but, had I not done that, I'd have got out of school in 4 years instead of the 5.
It's all good. I'm a 5-year graduate, too. It happens.
No big deal.
So you got your start in radio while you were in college. And then you finished school, came back home to Birmingham.
Yeah, I was doing morning news in Tallahassee. And essentially, so what I figured out my senior year was that by doing all of this road work as a comedian, I started doing comedy the summer before my junior year of college. So essentially what I had was a year and a half of no internships because I was always on the road. And so when I started looking at my classmates, and these niggas is getting hired at TV stations. Like there was a dude in my journalism class who was the weekend desk anchor for an NBC affiliate while he was still in college. So Buddy was driving to Jacksonville to anchor the news at 10 p.m. as a college student.
Yeah.
And I'm on a Greyhound getting booed in Macon, Georgia. And I was like, oh no, my career, oh no. And there's no internships being offered in Tallahassee. So what I figured out, there was a morning radio show called The Breakfast Buffet. This is pre-Breakfast Club, so we wasn't biting. Shut up. This is 01. The Breakfast Buffet, and it was just a morning local black morning show. They played hip hop and blues. Like it was one of them old school black stations before the split in radio.
Okay.
Really happened between black genres or whatever.
Okay.
And I noticed that they had no news segment. So I emailed the program director out the blue. I go, yo, I'm a journalism student. I do radio news for the campus station. Would you mind if I come in every morning at 5:30 and do the news? And I'll just pull a copy from the Tallahassee newspaper. I'll watch the local news and I'll prepare a proper 90-second newscast for you. And I'll do it live until 8 a.m. and you can put it in the can and play it back till 10, but I got class at 8:30. He said, cool.
Hustler. So
that was my first internship, was doing morning news. And so it was 2 people on the show. It was Van Wilson and this other comedian, William E. Gilmore. And so Gilmore was a school teacher. And so Gilmore could crack jokes until 8. And then Gilmore had to be in class at 8:30 to teach his students. So on days that I didn't have that 8:30 class, Van would let me come on the mic from 8:30 till 10 and essentially be his co-host in between me doing, I still had to do my newscast.
Right.
But in between doing the newscast, you know what, little brother? Say a couple things here and there if they're funny. If you have something funny to say. We ain't gonna just sit here and shoot the shit.
Right.
I'm 55. I ain't got nothing in common with you. You're 20. Just, if you got a joke, give me a joke. Otherwise, be quiet. And that was essentially the air check tapes that I used to submit to 95.7 to try and get an internship here. So what happened with that, Buck Wild had just come back as host. Buck Wild was the original morning show host in 95.7. It was Buck, Ricky Smiley, Africa, B. Bryan was the DJ, I think. And then walk y'all through some Birmingham radio history.
I was about to say, give us the history. I love the history.
And then you had, so Buck in Africa got fired, and then you had B. Bryan, Tammy Mack, and Sid Delaney. And that was the morning show. I cannot remember the name of the morning show. I'm sorry, B. Brian. I can't remember the name of what y'all's morning show was. And then they got fired. And then they brought Buck in Africa back. And at this point, Ricky Smiley is on his way to being Ricky Smiley. So he can't come back to host because Ricky's doing too many big things or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they hold auditions to be the co-hosts. To be the comedy, whatever. And somewhere in there, B Money is on the whole time. I don't know how B Money never got fired. like even now, I'm gone. B Money still be floating around. Just
he do.
Yeah, I don't know.
He keep a job.
White man magic. He just
that privilege.
Yeah. Like I imagine, like Buck in Africa got fired, and B Money was like, all right, well let me scoot over and make room for B Brian and Tammy Matt. Just, I see y'all later, but I'm gonna be right here. Somewhere in there, they had a bunch of comedians. Whatever happened. They didn't find a comedian that they liked. So the plan, this is per Buck Wild, was to go without a comedian for the morning show. And just go fight it, we need a comedian.
But Buck was pretty funny, from what I remember.
Yeah, Buck was crazy. It's the difference between crazy and funny. Crazy is still entertaining. So I get to town in April of 2001, maybe May or June, somewhere in there. And I talked to Buck, and he's not replying to emails or whatever. So I ambush Buddy in the lobby, which is what Ricky Smiley used to do. Ricky Smiley, when 95.7 was on First Ave, Ricky Smiley would stand in the fucking parking lot and crack jokes to Buck in Africa as they walked into the building, just to make them laugh from the car to the door. And then that was enough to get him in the lobby. He'd just sit in the lobby and he'd crack jokes, and that's how he worked his way into the building. So I go, all right, cool, let me take this Ricky Smiley approach. So I talked to Buck outside the station one morning, and he basically said, he's very blunt. He's like, we don't need no comedian. The show don't need no comedian. We don't want no comedians. We need no comedians. I go, all right, cool. And what I knew at the time was that I was in at the Stardome as an open micer and working here and there at the Stardome. I really hadn't broken in yet on the main stage. And like the way comedy works, or the way comedy worked at the time in Birmingham, was that you put in your time, like at the Stardome, they got that little side room off in the cut before you go down into the main showroom called the Broadway room.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they do open mic once a month. So you go in there, cut your teeth. If you do well enough in there, you'll get a 5-minute guest set on a weeknight. And if you do well enough on a weeknight, then maybe you'll host weeknights. And then maybe you can host the weekend when the big name acts come to town. But that's the course matriculation.
You're saying that doesn't happen anymore?
I don't know, because I need to talk to the youngins. I don't know what the matriculation, I don't know how it's set up. I don't know what the curriculum is to get you from the Broadway room to MCing on the weekends, which is the ultimate goal for a new comic.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I'm doing well on Broadway. I'm doing guest sets, and I'm kind of hosting on weeknights, but I'm not doing weekends at all. I'm not there yet. So what I knew for sure was that on Black Weekend, when there was a black comedian at the Stardome on the weekend, it's sponsored by 95.7. And I know that there's a 4-minute, and still to this day.
To this day.
And there's a 4-minute gap at the beginning of the show where the morning show or one of the more prominent DJs on the station, I imagine now it's New York or Deal, or maybe Sturdy, who goes out.
Not Sturdy.
Not Sturdy. Sturdy
ain't gonna leave the house.
So the morning show will go out. Y'all ready to see Said the Entertainer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Make sure you listen to 95.7, y'all. And here's a t-shirt. Let's get the show started. It's that shit. It's been that way.
Oh, wait, because that is accurate as fuck. That is my life right now. What the hell?
Well, I'm CoCo, and you can hear me on this day. And make sure you listen to me. And we got Lil Boosie tickets. If y'all want to come see Lil Boosie, make sure you listen. So,
why? Stop telling my life right now. Go ahead.
Sure as shit, that happens every Friday night, first show, before the comedy show starts. So I go to Bruce Ayers, who's the owner of the Stardome, and I go, yo, man.
Shout out to Bruce, such a good person.
He's broken so many so many comedians. There's so much. That's such a separate conversation.
Well,
Like,
Stardome is
just do-
considered a legendary place in terms of just places to go and
I would say the
venues for
Stardome
comedy.
is as canon as the Comedy Store in Los Angeles and the Comedy Cellar in New York. And I would put their lineup up against anyone. So I go to Bruce Ayers and I go, hey man, I know I'm not passed on weekends here yet to host, but just so you know, I just got hired at 95.7 and they want me to host the Friday night to do the pre-show greeting. He goes, well, don't do the pre-show. If you're with the station, just do some time. That would make the most sense. Just do 3 or 4 minutes. I go, yes sir, no problem. See you Friday night. And then I go to Buck Wild. I go back to the station the next day, 5:30 in the morning. I go, hey man, here's the deal. I know y'all don't want no comedians no more, but I'll be hosting for D.L. Hughley Friday night at the Stardome. After you all get off stage, just stay and watch me. If you think I'm funny, let me intern. Here's my air check of everything, and then I hit them with all my radio Easter speech resume. I've done this, I know this editing system software. I am proficient in the computer application. Hit them with all that shit.
Yeah.
Buck says cool. So now it's Wednesday. All I have to do between now and Friday night is make sure Buck Wild doesn't talk to Bruce Ayers. So that they don't both know the lie. That it's been served up.
Right.
Kept them apart, and I walked backstage. Buck assumed I was with Bruce. Bruce assumed I was with Buck. And they never said anything to each other about it, never thought anything about it. Buck went out, did the free t-shirt Easter speech, brought me up. I did 4 minutes, and I can't even explain to you how that shit just, it's just, again, it's just one of them nights where you get to skip a little.
Right.
You got an opportunity.
You were prepared.
And them little 4 minutes of comedy, I rode that shit into a 15-year radio career. Because I walk off stage, and Buck Wild is standing off the side of the stage. He said, see you Monday morning, bring Krispy Kreme donuts. And he walked off. And that's how I got hired at 95.7.
I love that story.
Like, straight up, bold-faced lie. Then, here's the best little tag to the story. Come off stage, D.L. Hughley's manager saw me, whispers in D.L.'s ear about me having done a good job on the first show. D.L. says, you can go ahead and stay and host the rest of the weekend. I'm only going to give you 5 minutes, but you can host.
Do you think D.L. Hughley's funny?
Yeah, I think D.L. has a way also of distilling political and complicated topics down to a way that are entertaining. I think that people who don't, if you don't agree with a comedian, then you're instantly going to be turned off on the joke that comes after it. So I do think that DL now is more political, and probably as a result of that, probably turns off some people, because if somebody don't agree with you, they ain't ready to laugh at shit they don't agree with. So I think there's definitely going to be some confusion. He probably has created more division in his shows with some of his political opinions, but I also don't think he cares. He still sells tickets. Ain't an empty seat when DL come to town.
Right.
So
I mean,
you
can't deny he has a name.
Yeah, man, that brother, that was a good look, because opening for him for them little funky ass 5 minutes got me passed at the Stardome as a weekend host. So ultimately, I was able to open doors for myself on 2 different fronts. You know, so that's how it started, man. It's just figuring out ways to, you just got to find grifts in the system and figure out ways to shortcut, but you have to be prepared when the opportunities come as well.
Absolutely. Who taught you to tell stories? You're a good storyteller, and I know I'm not the only person who's told you that.
I've never tried to be a storyteller. I'm just telling you what happened. Like, it's
natural.
not something that I've ever tried to rehearse or work on or anything. I do enjoy watching good stories, so I try to maybe emulate that some. You know, I've always enjoyed watching Dick Gregory. I always enjoyed the way that he could take you on a journey and comedy is very much, you still laughing? Come on, don't stop laughing. Please laugh. Come on. Good night. Storytelling takes its time, and you weave, and you go in and out of emotions, and you come down. There's long stretches where nobody's laughing.
Right.
But to come out of that with a huge laugh and something connected, I think is better. Also, I think that at the end of the day, we all love stories. That's all TV is stories. Books is stories. Movies are fucking stories. It's just a story-driven world. So I've always enjoyed things that have, something that's with a little bit of a theme woven into them and characters that are complicated, because nobody's all good, nobody's all bad. And I think it's cool to be able to kind of bob and weave out of that. But it's just something I gravitated towards. I don't even consider myself a good storyteller. But thank you for saying that.
No, I think that is what makes your comedy so unique, is that you do have, in my opinion, a storytelling element to it, and you're putting these jokes in there, but you don't know how it's going to end, and it lands. I don't know the correct terminology because I'm no comedian, but it's almost educational in a way, in my opinion, especially because, and I could be wrong, you tell me, I feel like your audience now more white people, and so you still very much talk about the black narratives, and for them it's more you teaching them, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, like The Daily Show has definitely added white people to my audience. Black people still fuck with me, but there's definitely, and not just white, but white and Democrat and a little older, like 40 and over white, like not like young Yes Jules white.
No, not Yes Jules, no. Never that. We don't want those. No.
But definitely people that are there to learn. And I think for the types of jokes I try to tell, the things I'm trying to talk about, should be informative to white people and confirming to black people.
Absolutely.
So white people can come and learn something new. Black people can come and remember that they're not alone in feeling the way they feel, and that they're justified in feeling the way they feel. Like, that to me that's the sweet spot with what I'm trying to do, because it's not white humor, and if you're white, you might be a little uncomfortable from time to time. But that's okay if you're really okay with going on this journey and learning something and laughing. There's still going to be some punchlines.
Right.
I ain't going to yell at you. I probably should. I ain't. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. And so we are going to have to wrap up soon. But one of the things that I really wanted to talk about is that you have brought a television show here to Birmingham. It's called Jefferson County Probation.
Yes.
And so you just wrapped up your pilot last month, correct?
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
And then so what's next? And then, before we get to that, what inspired you to come up with this particular story? Everybody knows that you're from here, but like Jefferson County Probation.
Well, it's essentially me at 19, but from the perspective of my probation officer.
And you play the probation officer, right?
And so the show, here's what a lot of people don't know about probation. It's a lot. Number one, well, first let me talk about my probation officer. So all that traveling I was doing to Atlanta and Charlotte and all of that, that's against the rules.
Right.
Like when you're on federal, and I was on federal probation, you don't go nowhere. You stay the fuck in your district, and you go to a job, and you go to a school, and then you take your funky ass home.
Right.
Like, I wasn't allowed, part of my probation was literally you go to class and you go home. If it is an on-campus activity, you cannot do it. You cannot go. I had to get a special.
You couldn't go to the step show?
Like, I couldn't write for the campus paper.
Oh, damn.
That's how serious it was. It was, you should be in jail, but instead, just go to class and go home. No intramurals, no when Puff Daddy brought P. Diddy and the family to the J-Gate, the gym at Florida A&M, I can't be there. And so I had a probation officer who was lenient and understanding that certain things needed to happen in order for me to matriculate.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can go and write for the paper. And you ain't on the campus meal plan, so don't take your ass to the cafeteria. Go home.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you want to travel and do comedy? Okay, cool. I'll tell you what. You can go to Atlanta if you can prove to me that a comedy show is happening. And I go, what do you mean prove to you? He goes, well, is there a flyer? Is there some promotional there? I go, no, it's a fucking open mic. Ain't no flyer for an open mic. And our probation officer said, well, seems like we need to get somebody to make a flyer promoting this open mic. And that's all he said. But that was enough to flip the switch. And I went, bing, oh. And that's how I taught myself graphic design, so that I could start making flyers to promote the comedy shows that I was headed to, so that I could get the clearance from my probation office to go to the comedy show. So I would hit up the bookers and go, yo, I know it's just an open mic. Would you like a flyer? Hell yeah, I'd love a flyer. That'd be great. That would be very nice.
Let's work them.
Would you mind giving me the names of the people that'll be on the open mic so I can put their names on the flyer? And that started getting me more work because I was offering free graphic design in exchange for 5-minute spots.
Right.
So it's things like that that my probation officer did that planted seeds, that really helped forward my career. Had he not been understanding that how restrictive this system is and keeping people from really rising up and being a better person as the system purports itself to be designed to do. So the television show is about what would happen if you had a probation officer that existed in the gray area and helped people, and the pros and cons of that, because it's not always a good thing to give somebody a little bit of leniency. Sometimes it'll come back and bite you in the ass.
Absolutely.
So it's about telling that story from the perception of the people that adjudicate all of this stuff, because so much of this recidivism that we talk about and so much of all this drama in the legal system and the revolving doors, prison and all of that, it's because of the decisions of either a single judge or a single PO. And a lot of it boils down to that. That's the bigger issue, but at the end of the day, it's just jokes. I'm here to tell some jokes. And so when you look at the issue of black people getting locked up over and over again, that's an issue that happens in the South.
Right.
I'm from the South. So if I'm going to tell a story about recidivism, it needs to be told in the South. And I may as well tell the shit in Birmingham so I can see my mom every now and then. So that's the gist of it. So,
and you put Birmingham on the map.
Yeah.
At the same time.
We put a gang of local crew. I'd say that about 60 to 70% of our crew was Alabama residents.
That's what's up.
I'd say the same of the background actors. We had a couple of wonderful on-screen actors that are from the state of Alabama. The homie John Missick is from Opelika. Tremo is from Birmingham.
Shout out to Tremo.
Comedian Keitra Long is from here. She came back. She's in LA, but she came back home to be a part of the project because it's important to have that Birmingham flavor.
Absolutely.
On there as well. So.
And Brandon.
Yeah.
Ricky Smiley's son, Brandon Smiley.
Oh
Brandon is Birmingham through and through.
He said we on set. Brandon Smiley just ad-libbed a line where this girl walked through the scene, and he just go, "She got a big old Bama Duke," and everybody who wasn't from Birmingham was like, "What the hell is a Duke?" I'm just like, "Trust me,
my goodness,
leave it in." That was funny.
Yeah.
But no one's gonna know. Don't matter if they know. That's Birmingham.
Right.
Just that word, Duke. I'm still trying to figure out how to put shoot the cag in the script. But that's
old school for real.
Yeah, that's old Birmingham. I just aged myself. But that's the gist of the show. Is that so we shot the pilot, we turn it into the network this month, and then we wait and we find out probably end of July, early August if we're making a TV show in Birmingham. And even if we don't, this was still a victory to get this done and get it.
Absolutely.
Just to have the state of Alabama have my back, Woodfin in the city. We shot everything in Birmingham proper, and that's no disrespect to the suburbs, but it was important to me that we shot in Birmingham proper. And also there's a lot of legal tax stuff that you have to navigate when you go from suburb to suburb. You have to negotiate permits and everything.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And this wouldn't have been able to be done without all those people helping. And I think there's a burgeoning film industry that's happening here. And
I was going to say, you've really boosted to that industry that's slowly growing in the state of Alabama.
If nothing else, the film industry has proof now that Alabama-based crew can produce a product that's as good as anything that's shot anywhere else in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be enough for someone to have the confidence to bring their thing here, and the next thing, and the next thing.
Absolutely.
So that's all I tried to do.
And so if it picks up, you're gonna be back here when filming it.
That's a network question. My guess is early winter to shoot, because we still got to go write the rest of the episodes.
Right.
So, a writer's room, you normally need, anywhere from 3 to 4 months to really lay out all of the episodes. And then the logistics of, once you know all the script, once you got all the scripts, you got to go find all the locations. Then set up your production schedule and all of that. So, I want to shoot in the winter. I ain't fucking with this heat.
Oh, you didn't get New York on us, did
Yes,
you?
I did. Yes, I did. I worked very hard, and and I've made enough money to not stand in the heat in July to make a TV show.
You know what? I'm not mad at you.
You know how many summers I stood in that heat doing yard work in West End, standing in them hot ass Ramsey baseball wool uniforms. The baseball uniforms don't breathe.
Yeah.
It ain't perforated like a basketball jersey. Ain't no holes in that shit. So yes, I want to shoot in the winter.
I'm not mad at that.
January. I'd rather freeze than have heat stroke.
Can you handle the New York winters?
No.
Have you been able to handle them yet?
No.
And you talking all that?
No. I said a Birmingham winter though.
I know.
Birmingham
You talking about
35, 40. New York is about 2, 3, 7.
That's what I'm saying.
-2. I don't want that.
That's
You're just scared.
I went to New York last year in March. It was late March. I went up there for an audition. And it was snow on the ground. This is like March 23rd. And I'm like, what in the world? I was like, why is it below 30 degrees in March?
Cat Williams had the best joke. He said, he was performing in Chicago. And he said, if you're in Chicago, you got to buy your winter coat in Chicago. The only thing beat a Chicago winter is a Chicago coat. You can't come in. I believe that. You can't come in with an out of town coat. I'm butchering the joke, but it's like you can't come in with an out of town.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
That's why I try not to go up north. Chicago, I went up there for the first time last summer, and they don't put the air on during the summer. I was like, why is it hot everywhere?
Yeah.
They were like, no, it's cold most of the time.
We enjoy this heat.
I was like, no, I need my AC. I have edges that need to be laid down. Like, I don't need my edges like mini afros around my hairline. One of the shows that I really enjoyed is This Is Not Happening. Is that still going on?
We just wrapped, and so that's going back to storytelling. That's a storytelling show, which we just get to tell more long form stories. We just wrapped our season a couple of weeks ago, I think, and so now we'll know again around the same time as my sitcom. We'll know whether or not This Is Not Happening is coming back. Okay. Number one, we'll know whether or not it's coming back. Number two, we'll know whether or not it's coming back with me as the host. Because I'm not sure if they'll even allow me to host if I'm making a sitcom.
It's like you taking over Comedy Central.
When was it good? Fucking why not?
Exactly.
I'd put me on every night if you have me.
Right.
Pull a Ryan Seacrest and just produce it.
Get them checks.
Indeed.
Well, that is all the time we have. Are you going to come back to the CoCo's Tea podcast to update us on the other things you have going on? Because I feel like we really didn't have a chance to talk about a lot of other things that you have done. Hear some of those other good stories, and then get an update on some of the other projects you're working on. Some more Comedy Central specials coming?
Yeah, I got to do one by the end of 2020, but I'm not going to really start thinking about constructing that until later this fall. Okay. And then spend all of 2020 polishing it. Okay. And get ready. So that's the plan.
Okay. So are you going to come back to the CoCo?
Yeah, I will come back.
Don't just say that and then not.
You got to have donuts next time, though.
I'll bring you donuts next time. That's fine. That's not a problem. I will do that. Oh, and you know what? I meant to say at the beginning of the show, Happy Father's Day. That's tomorrow. So,
I'm a father. Yeah.
You have. How old is your son now? Is he 3?
He's not.
3. Is he really? I'm thinking he's like 5. I feel like I've been watching you post about him for the longest.
He acts grown. That's why you think he's 5.
You're his dad, so I believe it.
I fucking asked this boy one morning. I said, "Do you want cereal or oatmeal?" And he thought about it. He goes, "Grilled cheese sandwich cut diagonally." Walked out the kitchen.
Get it done.
That was not on the menu.
That wasn't an option, sir. I'm confused
Yeah.
as to where you thought that was just gonna happen. Well, that is your child. That he came from you if he is acting like that already. Do you have anything that you are wanting to promote in particular right now?
No,
Okay.
no, just watch the dance.
Because you already popping. You ain't got to promote nothing if you already out here like that. You know what I'm saying?
We out here.
We out here. Look, goals right here, okay, y'all? Like, this is all them checks that you getting. That is the goal. One day. Okay, y'all hear that? My crew people. I'm bringing y'all with me. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you again so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
We're going to have you on again, hopefully soon. Hopefully you're not just talking. You're going to come back
Yeah,
for
I'll
real,
come
for real.
back.
Okay.
I'll be here.
I'm going to hold you to that. You guys already know what to do. You can find the podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. Make sure that you share it out with your people. All things CoCo's Tea at cocostea.com. And you can always follow me at I am the real CoCo. Thank you for listening.
Hey, CoCo be going live, 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 CoCo be going live. Every day I'm tuned in, CoCo be going live. Shawty got it jumping like Freak Neat back in '95. So tune in 9 people, everything you ain't get to see. I don't know what you usually doing, but the way you wanna be. Off work, stuck in traffic. Boss got you tweaking, bending over backwards. Hey, you in school trying to get by. Hey, life make you wanna say fuck the class. Trust me, I feel you stressing, baby, ain't nothing real. Don't lose the madness, just relax while CoCo get it cracking. From ATL out to California, don't trip, gon' take a moment, just listen to CoCo, she keep the speakers blasting. CoCo be going live, CoCo be going live.